Pranam Maharaj.
Okay. Okay, we'll start. Fine.
Can't hear you, Sonia. Maybe you can turn the volume up.
Say it again.
Can't hear you. Your volume is very low.
Oh, is it okay now?
Better, yes.
Okay. So, with our prayer, we'll start. Sri Gurubhyo Namaha Harihi Om. Sahana Bhavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karvavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om. Asato ma sadgamaya tamaso ma jyotirgamaya mrityurma amritam gamaya Aviravirmayedhi. Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om. Akhandam Satchidanandam Avang Manasagochanam Atmanam Akhiladharam Ashraya Vishta Siddhai. Let we be protected, let we be nourished. Let we strive with energy and vigor. Let our study be enlightening and not give rise to hostility. Om peace, peace, peace. Lead us to truth and not to untruth. Lead us to enlightenment and not ignorance. Lead us to immortality and not death. Let the self-manifest Atman grow in me. Om peace, peace, peace. I take refuge in the self, the indivisible, the existence, consciousness, bliss, absolute, beyond the reach of words and thought, and the substratum of all, for the attainment of my cherished desire. So here we have, we take refuge in the self. This is very important. We take refuge in the self, in ourselves, within ourselves. The indivisible. What is that self? Nature of self is indivisible. Though we may be feeling that we are fragmented, we are divided, but actually indivisible. The existence, consciousness, bliss absolute. And this is not ordinary. It may look like we are suffering from so many things, but in reality, we are existence, consciousness, and bliss absolute. So this is the objective. This we are to achieve. Objective means already it is achieved. Here there is nothing we'll get from somewhere. Only we'll discover ourselves. As of now, it is covered. So what we'll do, we'll remove the covering. So that is why I take refuge in that self. What kind of self? With that which is substratum of all. Whatever we see, The self is the only substratum on which everything is existing. Substratum of all, for the attainment of my cherished desire. What is the attainment of cherished desire? To achieve, to remove the covering and finding my own self. So this is actually in nutshell what the topic deals with is explained. So for Advaitin it's very important that we don't seek anything external. It is already within us. We need to find it. And this is the most difficult task also. Why it is so difficult? Because we have a notion that we know ourselves, but actually we don't know. So, what we do, whatever is coming as obstruction, that we remove. And then it is self-revealing. So, we'll go forward, but before that, let us read from the complete works of Swami Vivekananda. David. David?
Yes, Swami. I'm reading Steps to Realization, a class lecture delivered in America. We all have this foolish idea that we can have happiness without misery, and it has taken such possession of us that we have no control over the senses.
Okay, here, what is the meaning? Happiness means what happiness we find in senses. When we taste something, we feel, oh, very good, very nice. So next time when we are not hungry, we may not feel that happiness. So this happiness is related to the world. Vishaya Indriya Sanyoga. What is that meaning? Vishaya means objects and senses. When senses come closer to the sense objects, then we feel some elation. So this happiness, what is explained here, is worldly happiness that we get because of contact of objects by our senses. When we see a beautiful scenery, so what is happening? The scenery is coming in close contact with my eyes, and we feel happy. Ah, very good. But sometimes we see, dirty place also, and we are miserable. Similarly, tasting, hearing. Sometimes we hear, oh, wonderful, praise. Everybody praises, so we are elated. But somebody comes and criticizes, and then we are dejected. So this is what is called Vishaya Indriya Sanyoga, the contact of senses with sense objects. That gives happiness and that gives also misery. And same thing happens in our dream also. Okay, go ahead.
When I was in Boston, a young man came up to me and gave me a scrap of paper on which he had written a name and address, followed by these words: "All the wealth and all the happiness of the world are yours, if you only know how to get them. If you come to me, I will teach you how to
Charge.
Charge $5. He gave me this.
So $5.
He gave me this.
Charge is for $5. Okay, go ahead.
He gave me this and said, "What do you think of this?" I said, "Young man, why don't you get the money to print this? You have not even enough money to get this printed." He did not understand this. He was infatuated with the idea that he could get immense wealth and happiness without any trouble. There are two extremes into which men are running. One is extreme optimism, when everything is rosy and nice and good. The other, extreme pessimism, when everything seems to be against them. The majority of men have more or less undeveloped brains. 1 in a million we see with a well-developed brain. The rest either have peculiar idiosyncrasies or are monomaniacs.
Go ahead.
Naturally, we run into extremes. When we are healthy and young, we think that all the wealth of the world will be ours. And when later we get kicked about by society like footballs and get older, we sit in a corner and croak and throw cold water on the enthusiasm of others. Few men know that with pleasure there is pain, and with pain pleasure. And as pain is disgusting, so is pleasure. It is the twin brother of pain. It is derogatory to the glory of man that he should be going after pain, and equally derogatory that he should be going after pleasure. Both should be turned aside by men whose reason is balanced. Why will not men seek freedom from being played upon? This moment we are whipped, and when we begin to weep, nature gives us $1. Again, we are whipped, and when we weep, nature gives us a piece of gingerbread, and we begin to laugh again.
So here, what that just a minute. So in another place, Swamiji said, like iron chain and golden chain. Iron chain binds, golden chain also binds. Therefore, both are to be discarded. Happiness binds, and misery also binds. So, both are similar. It is not that something is different. I mean, pleasure is different from pain. It is obverse and reverse of the same coin. That is what Swamiji is saying here. Therefore, what we need freedom. We need neither pain nor pleasure. What we need, freedom from pain and pleasure. Yes.
The sage wants liberty. He finds that sense objects are all vain, and there is no end to pleasures and pains.
Now one thing, now we don't want, but the thing is, when we are living in this world, all these will come. When you are in a river or you are flying on a boat, all the waves will come and hit the boat. But what we need to do, we must have protection so that no wave can affect us. Thorns are natural on the way, or maybe some pebbles that may hurt us. What we need? We need freedom from those pebbles. So how to do it? We must wear a pair of shoes. So what is the required? Requirement is protecting layer. When we live in this world, we have to eat. Something will be pleasurable, something will be painful. Some, chili or very spicy. So it is difficult. So what we need an equanimous mind. Samekritva labha labhu jaya jayo. Sukha dukkha, that means pain and pleasure. Both should be equal. Labha labho, that means gain and loss. Labha labho jaya jayo. Sometimes we win, sometimes we lose. In sports, it happens many times. But if it happens in our private life, then we are shattered. We want to win every time. That is not possible. The system is like that. So, one should have that equanimous mind. so that mind is balanced. It should not be disturbed. That is the thing. Yes.
How many rich people in the world want to find fresh pleasures? All pleasures are old, and they want new ones. Do you not see how many foolish things they are inventing every day just to titillate the nerves for a moment? And that done, how there comes a reaction? The majority of people are just like a flock of sheep. If the leading sheep falls into a ditch, all the rest follow and break their necks. In the same way, what one leading member of a society does, all the others do, without thinking what they are doing. When a man begins to see the vanity of worldly things, he will feel he ought not to be thus played upon or borne along by nature. That is slavery. If a man has a few kind words said to him, he begins to smile. And when he hears a few harsh words, he begins to weep. He is a slave to a bit of bread, to a breath of air, a slave to dress, a slave to patriotism, to country, to name, and to fame. He is thus in the midst of slavery, and the real man has become buried within, through his bondage. What you call man is a slave. When one realizes all this slavery, then comes the desire to be free. An intense desire comes. If a piece of burning charcoal be placed on a man's head, see how he struggles to throw it off. Similar will be the struggles for freedom of a man who really understands that he is a slave of nature.
Now, Swamiji has said that, wealthy people, they want to find new excitements. So they go to various places. Like recently it happened, few months back, that some billionaires, they wanted to go to the bottom of the ocean. They boarded in a submarine, and it burst there. So they are not happy, like they have money, but they want to have various kinds of enjoyment. And there is no end of it. Sports, new kinds of sports are invented. Even other day, you can see, like unthinkable things, because they want excitement. And then, say, Olympic. Similarly, there are so many competition also. So they want various kinds of excitements. Even the other day I was looking at a video. So one trucker was carrying a locomotive on its back, that means on the carrier, and was crossing a stream, and that bridge of that stream was broken, so it went through. And maybe a cliff, they are sitting, and even they can jump over it. All kinds of excitement. Anyway, the thing is, we have to understand the worthlessness of it. Not only understand the worthlessness of it, but this is like unbearable. That's why Swamiji at the end gave that if somebody keeps a charcoal on and burning charcoal on somebody's head, what happens? He runs for the water. So this is, this is a lecture where Swamiji is saying about the steps to realization. One must have that realization that this world cannot give me joy that I am seeking. Joy means that bliss that I am seeking. So he runs from this world as fire on his head. That is, this is taken most probably from Mundaka Upanishad. So there also say Shirobrata. That means somebody puts fire on his head, and he feels the heat, and then he rushes towards water. Similarly, one should feel the burning sensation of this world, though it may allure sometimes with various pleasures and pain, but one should have that disgust for this. Then only one is ready for the higher life. Yes. Go ahead.
We have now seen what mumukshutva, or the desire to be free, is. The next training is also a very difficult one. Nitya Nitya Viveka, discriminating between that which is true and that which is untrue.
Nitya, Nitya, Nitya. That means Nitya and Anitya. What is permanent Nitya and what is impermanent Anitya. Nitya, Anitya Vastu Vivek means power of discrimination, by which one can see, oh, it is temporary. You are not to worry. Because if we start worrying, there is no end of it. Okay.
Between the eternal and the transitory. God alone is eternal. Everything else is transitory. Everything dies. The angels die. Men die. Animals die. Earths die. Sun, moon, and stars all die. Everything undergoes constant change. The mountains of today were the oceans of yesterday and will be oceans tomorrow. Everything is in a state of flux. The whole universe is a mass of change. But there is one who never changes, and that is God. And the nearer we get to him, the less will be the change for us. The less will nature be able to work on us. And when we reach him,
Now one thing, Nitya Nitya Vastu Vivek, there is Vivek Churamani, it says, Brahma Satyam, Brahman alone is real, and Jagat Mithya. And this world is illusory. Illusory, we experience it, so we cannot deny it. As we cannot deny a magic, as we cannot deny a movie. And we weep and we laugh, everything. But ultimately we have to understand this is a temporary affair. So Nitya Vastu is Brahma, Brahma Satyam, Brahman alone is real. And Jagan Mithya iti evam rupa vinishchaya. Soyam Nitya Nitya Vastu Viveka. So this alone, that seasons are changing. Even day and nights are coming one by one after another. So changes are happening. Whatever changes, that is not real. It is temporary. Dreams come. Yes, we witness our dreams. But that's only temporary. So Nitya Nitya Vastu Vivek. So this we are to understand. Yes.
but there is one who never changes, and that is God. And the nearer we get to him, the less will be the change for us. The less will be nature. The less will nature be able to work on us. And when we reach him and stand with him, we shall conquer nature. We shall be masters of phenomena of nature, and they will have no effect on us. You see, if we have really undergone the above discipline, we really do not require anything else in this world. All knowledge is within us. All perfection is there already in the soul. But this perfection has been covered up by nature. Layer after layer of nature is covering this purity of the soul. What have we to do? Really, we do not develop our souls at all. What can develop the perfect? We simply take the evil off, and the soul manifests itself in its pristine purity, its natural, innate freedom.
So that we in the beginning we discussed about this, that the self alone is real. See, body is changing every day. We are changing every day. Mind is changing every day. The world is changing every day. Every moment. Body is changing every moment. So whatever changes, that is not real. It may look real. We don't deny that. So this is the thinking. What is within us that never changes? So this study, the Vedantasara, is to find that reality. So this is a thinking process. So what it will do? It will have, or it will take our experience. We don't need anything else external. Whatever we experience every day, it will analyze that and explain everything. This huge world, it will be explained. Even God, who is God, it will be explained. So this is the power of this philosophy. And it is simple. It's not very hard to understand. Only thing, what Swamiji has said, one must have the power of discrimination and desire to know, desire to understand, desire to realize. That should be there. Now let us go back to our text. Now what we have understood, that something is, we say like, I am individual, you are individual, everyone is individual. So one is individual. When we take it collective, it is called collective. So one thing is individual, one thing is collective. Now, we can take example. Example is like one tree and the forest. So tree as one, and same, so many trees we call it forest. Similarly, we have one drop of water, and the whole body of water may be a lake, jalashay, jal and jalashay. So taking this, if we can understand what this drop is, then we understand the whole lake. So this is the theory. So one is called individual, one is called collective. Now individual, what is this individual experiences? If you see, we have bodies. So three bodies. One is gross, that which we can touch, and when we eat food, then it increases in size, or we don't eat, then it decreases in size. That's called gross body. And how it is made? It's called food sheath, Annamaya Kosha. Now we have already studied this. Why we are repeating this? Because this, how all these are coming? It's only our ignorance. How ignorance is manifesting in so many forms. So this way, if we see and if we can analyze and find in one individual, then similarly we find in the whole universe. So now let us go. So here, Sthula Shariram is gross body, then Sukshma Sharira, subtle body and causal body. No, this Jeta I can achieve. Now, 5 koshas, we have 5 koshas. How to relate with this? Now, many things we discuss in philosophy that should be connected. Otherwise, that may create confusion. So here, the effort is to connect all these things. So Pancha Kosha, 5 koshas are there, 5 sheaths. What are those? Annamaya Kosha. So Sthula Sharir makes, the gross body makes because of food sheath. And inside that, Pranamaya Kosha, see this body is moving. It is because of vital forces. And then I am thinking, and after thinking I am speaking. So speaking is gross, but behind that is thinking. And how I am thinking? I'm taking the help of my mind. So that's called Manomaya Kosha. And then Vijnanamaya Kosha. I'm assessing what is good word for this and then speaking. So these three are subtle, part of subtle body. So subtle body has got vital force and mental sheath and intellectual sheath. And finally, it is the causal body is Anandamaya Kosha, the bliss sheath. When we experience this in our dreamless sleep, or when we achieve something, then all other sheets are those becomes transparent, and then we experience joy. Now, avastha traya. Now, three kinds of avastha. One is jagrata, that means waking state. We are awake now, so this is called waking state. And then we have dreaming state, when we dream. So that's a swapna avastha, that means dreaming state. And third is shushupti, deep sleep, when we don't dream. Why these are important? Because on this whole philosophy is there. And we can analyze and understand what we really are. So when we are awake of this world also, and we forget ourselves. We interact with this world so much that we forget. Forget means we have some notion that I am there. But my attention is full outside. We see something, we hear something, taste something, smell something, and touch something. That's our whole world. So this is Jagrata. In dream, almost similar, only it is temporary. Jagrata also is temporary, waking is also temporary, but it as if serially it happens like that. And Shushupti, when there is no object, there are no objects. So that's a Shushupti, but we are there. You cannot say that, oh, I slept very sound sleep, but I was not there. You cannot say that. Because you experience that there was, next morning you say, oh, I slept so very well that I did not know anything. Now, this is, on this basis, now let us go back. So 45. Asyapi iha ahamkaradi karanatvat karana shariram ananda prachuratvat. Now karana sharira, this is what we have studied. So one thing is upahita chaitanya. Upahita chaitanya means, suppose this book is there. So what I am seeing this book. So this, what is happening? My awareness, my consciousness is as if it is covering. That's why I am seeing. So upahita chaitanya means when the chaitanya is like in proximity, then we see. But there is anupahita chaitanya. That means another part which is not connected with it, by which we see. Even seeing is also upahita, but there is something which is anupahita. Anupahita means not affected, not superimposed. So, asyapi iha ahamkaradi karanatvat. Asya api iha. So this ahamkara adi karanatvat karana sharir. So what happens? In a deep sleep, we have sense of little ego. Ahamkaradi karanatvat karana shariram ananda prachuratvat. Because there is plenty of joy. Koshavat acha, and that joy is covering our real state. Our not real, that outside real state. Our real existence. Our real existence is being covered by that joy. Koshavat, like it's a sheet. Achadakatvat anandamaya koshaha sarvau paramatvat sushuptihi atayeva. So everything merges in things. Sarva uparama. Uparama means everything rests. So that is called sushupti, deep sleep. Sthula Shukshma Sharira Prapanchalaya Sthanam iti cha uchyate. So this is the summation, or this is the absorption, point of absorption where everything merges. What are those? Avasthatraya, Jagar, Swapna, Sushupti, Sthula Shukshma Laya, everything. Sthula Shukshma Sharira Prapanchalaya Sthanam iti cha uchyate. Okay, how we know? How we know? Next morning, when you are being awake, what happens? You first come out of it and you try to understand, oh, this is my room, this is my table, this is my chair, this is my bed. Gradually you understand. This is a very important point. By this we can understand that as we recognize gradually, similarly, everything is absorbed within us in gradual course. So this is what is being said here. Let me read. The individual ignorance associated with it is also known as the causal body. So individual ignorance. One is individual ignorance, one is collective ignorance. So, only thing, what is the difference? With God or Brahman, with that collective ignorance, we call him God. Collective ignorance means he is the magician. He is not unaware like us. We are also not totally unaware. What is the difference between? He is the master of his own magic. But we are the creation of that magic. This is the only difference. Otherwise, it is similar. He knows how to influence and make fools of others. He is the painter. He paints. We are the character of the painting. He is the director. So he knows the whole plot. We are playing our part in the drama or in a movie. So everything is known to the director, but not to individual person. So this is the only difference. He possesses the whole ignorance, but it does not affect him, like the poison does not affect the snake. But it affects whosoever gets that portion of it. So now, the individual ignorance associated with it is also known as the causal body on account of its being the cause of egoism, etc. So, ahamkar. What are those? Antakarana, so that intellect, that inactive. Intellect is inactive. Antakarana, internal instrument, is inactive. That time everything merges in it. But it has seed. Why seed? Because next day it sprouts again. So, though they are inactive, but they are very much there. So, Anthakarana means ego, intellect, mind, and memory, chitta. Chitta, or we can say the mind stuff. That means the whole lake. Chitta, what is chitta? As if it is animated. As if it is the consciousness. Chit. Chit means consciousness. Chitta, as if it is consciousness. On that intellect, mind, and ego, all these work. So these are all in sleeping state, that means inactive state. So let us read it again. The individual ignorance associated with it is also known as the causal body on account of its being the cause of egoism, etc. And as the blissful sheath cause, because it is full of bliss. So it is because you can experience, it is not something theory. Every day when you go to deep sleep or whenever you go to deep sleep, you have that sense of joy. Actually, our body heals that time. So this is bliss and covers like a sheath. It is further known as dreamless sleep, since into it everything is dissolved, and for this reason it is also designated as the state of dissolution of the gross and subtle phenomena. So this we have this way we have discussed about what is prajna, and also like gross body, subtle body, and the karana, causal body. Now we go to the next. We will come again because otherwise we cannot. This should be well thought of. 46, yes. Tadanim eto Ishvara Prajna. So one is Ishvara and Prajna. So there are three things. One is called Ishvara. Ishvara means when it is taken collectively, and Prajna individually. So we don't know what about Ishvara, but we know what we are, what we experience. So we are taking first Prajna, that means individual, and similarly we are extending to understand what is Ishvara. Ishvara means God. Now, in English, there is no equivalent word for Brahman. So Brahman, Swamiji took that as God. But Brahman is Brahman. Brahman means unattached, unaffected, unchanged. But Ishvara means when he is surcharged with creative ideas. So Sri Ramakrishna said, this is very common, that when a snake is not moving, it is like Brahman. But when it is moving, it is like Ishvara. Not like Ishvara means with activity, creation, creating, preserving and destroying. So when magician is not doing anything, he is like Brahman. But when he wants to create an illusion, so he is like Ishvara. So one is Prajna, one is Ishvara. Prajna means individual, Ishvara means collective. Similarly, there is another set, it is called Hiranyagarbha. What is Hiranyagarbha? And individual it's called Tejasa. Tejasa. These are technical terms. Tejasa means, say in the morning, before getting everything distinct, that state when it comes out. So it is called a state of Mahat. So that is, we can say, Tejasa. That means it has come out of the causal body. It is now in that way to create this world again. So that is Tejasa. From there, the gross body, identification of gross body, gross mind, etc. comes out. So that's called Tejasa. And equivalent to that Hiranyagarbha. Hiranyagarbha samaveta bhutasya jata patirekam asit. So Hiranyagarbha means from that it's like golden womb. everything is being created. So individually we understand, and by extension we can understand the position of the collective sense, that is called Hiranyagarbha. And when it is projected further, then it is grossified. That we call Vaishwanara. Vaishwanara. And individually it's called Vishwa. Vishwa. That's why I call Vishwam Darpanam Drishyam Idam. So whatever we see individually, that is called Vishwa. We create. When we are studying this, we have to understand this way. Other thoughts are there. We are not against any other thought, but this is Vedantic thought. And here you'll find everything solved. So what is that? Vishwa means whatever is created. Say it is, from Vedantic point of view, it is our own projection. So this world as we project, it is called Vishwa. But when it is collective, that is called Virat or Vishwanara. So these are the three distinct words. So Tadanim Etau Ishwar Pragyam Chaitanya Pradiptabhi Atishukshmabhi Ajnana Vritti Niranandam Anubhavataha Ananda Bhuk Cheto Mukha Pragya Iti Srute Sukham Aham Aswapsam Na Kinchit Avedisham Ittuthitasya Paramarshopapatyascha. Now, not to get frightened. Not to get frightened. So, this is our own experience. You can relate with it. Only thing, when we talk in philosophy, we have to tell in such a way that the opponent may not get some fault, some clue to find faults. That's why it becomes a little dialectical. But this is our experience. Every day we experience. So let us go with this. In the state of dreamless sleep, both Ishvara and Pragya. Now see, you are not different from even God. God is collective, you are individual. That's the only difference. And another difference. He is the owner of this elusive power, whereas we are under the elusive power. This is the only difference. That way. Pragya. So in the state of dreamless sleep, both Ishvara and Pragya, through a very subtle function of ignorance, illumined by the consciousness. So even, our ignorance is also illumined by our consciousness. What is the meaning? Say, I am seeing this. How I am seeing? My consciousness is being covered. Then only I can see. We see darkness. How we see darkness? Because I am conscious. Darkness has no light or less light. So it is because we are conscious about it, we can see it. So, subtle function of ignorance, illumined by consciousness, enjoy happiness, as in the Shruti passage, Pragya, the enjoyer of bliss with consciousness. And for its aid is the third aspect. That means, this is Mandukya Upanishad, and also from such experience of a man awaking from dreamless sleep, as I slept happily, I did not know anything. So this is our experience. It is not saying something which we cannot experience. When you go to deep sleep, dreamless sleep, next morning you feel, oh, I slept so very well. This is only analyzing that situation. What happens there? All the objects are merged in ignorance, and you alone are there. No creation, no experience of creation. But you enjoy yourself ignorantly. You enjoy yourself ignorantly. That is why you can feel that joy. So that bliss is within us. That is the natural, not quality, natural state of our self. But because we do not know, that's called ignorance. If I say, what is in my hand? So you may say, I don't know. Because it is covering. So within us something is there that is being covered by our causal body. Causal body. And that is why we don't know. But we can feel the joy. That much we can do. So let us read it again. In the state of dreamless sleep, both Ishvara and Pragya, through a very subtle function of ignorance, illumined by consciousness, enjoy happiness. So this, because there is thin layer, there is covering, but it is a thin layer. So that joy that is naturally within us, joy means here bliss, that is naturally within us, it comes out, oozes out as it were. That is why we feel joy. And say, suppose you are concentrating, in meditation you are concentrating. If that meditation is deep, that time also you can feel that bliss. So it is not that only it happens in our deep sleep. It may happen in deep meditation also, because that time everything, you are not mindful of any other things, but your real self. So, as in the Shruti passage says, Prajna, Ananda Mukha, Ananda Bhuk. Ananda Bhuk means who is enjoying the joy, the bliss. Cheto Mukha means consciousness about it. Cheto Mukha, Prajna. So that is called Prajna. And example, it is Shrute. Sukham aham aswapsam na kinchit avedisham. I slept so very well that I did not know anything. You know, we may repeat this, but what is the purpose of repetition? That gives an impression. It's not that we know. No, whatever we know, we need to know further. We need to explore further to realize it in our being. That is why it is repeated. Even in scriptures also, so much of repetition. Why? It is to impress upon us so that we understand the reality. Sushupti kale sakale viline tamobhibhutaha sukha rupameti. So this is another passage, Kaivalya Upanishad. So what happens in Sushupti time? Sushupti means deep sleep time. Sakale viline, everything is merged. So there is no distraction, naturally, and that layer is very thin. So what happens? Our joy, the bliss comes out, oozes out as it were. Tamo vibhutaha sukha rupameti. Okay, so we go to the next. 5 minutes, no? 29. Anayoh shamashti bestyor vanavrikshayoriva jalashaya jalayoriva ba abhedaha. This aggregate and individual ignorance are identical like a forest and the trees, or a reservoir and the water. So this individual ignorance, one is individual ignorance and one is collective ignorance. So like ignorance, that means covered by one drop of water and the whole body of water. So this will come, similar things will come. Etat upahitayo ishvara pragyorapi vana vrikshavacchinna kashayo iva. Jalashaya jalagata pratibimba kashayo iva va aveda. Now, how these two are being equated? One is individual, one is collective. So, as the akasha enclosed by the forest is identical with the akasha enclosed by the tree. So, the space, say like this, leave it. Space covered by this is similar to a space covered by all books. So here, one drop of water is covered by space is similar with or similar to the space that covers the whole body of water, say the ocean even. So space is not different. Similarly, the consciousness that is being the witness for individual is the same consciousness which is covering or which is witnessing the whole world. So consciousness is the same. So the same thing is being said. Etat upahitarayoho, as the akasha enclosed by the forest is identical with the akasha enclosed by the trees. Or as the akasha means space, enclosed in the water is the same as the akasha reflected in the reservoir. Same akasha, same space. Why two examples are given? One is called avachedavad and one is called pratibimbavad. You know, like in water, there is reflection of the whole space. So pratibimba. So this world is like pratibimba, means like it is being projected. And consciousness is projecting this. Similarly, there is another theory called avacheda. That means that which is not divided, not limited, by creating some obstruction, it is like some avacheda. So two vadas are there. So that's why two examples are given. Etat upahitayoho ishvara pragyayorapi. So as the akasha enclosed by the forest is identical with the akasha enclosed by the trees, or as the akasha reflected in the water is the same as the akasha reflected in the reservoir. So akasha is the same. Similarly, the consciousness that is witnessing the individual ego, individual ignorance, and collective ignorance is the same. So consciousness is the same. Similarly, Ishvara and Pragya associated with these, that means aggregate and individual ignorance, are identical. There are such Shruti passages. So it is not that he is inventing. He is giving support from Vedas. What are these? Eshaha sarveshwaraha, Eshaha sarvajnaha, Esha antaryami, Esha yonihi, sarvasya prabhavapayo hi bhutanam. So what? He is the, Esha means this, not he. Eshaha means this. This means this self. Sarvajna, all-knowing. Esha is the Lord of all knowing. Sarvajna. Esha antaryami, he is indweller. This is indweller. Sarveshwara, Sarvajna. And yonihi, that means it is the origin. This is the origin of everything. He is the omniscient. He is the inner controller, Lord of all. He is omniscient. He is the inner controller. Now he, not he, this. So this, like this is the problem in English, or to explain. If Maharaj writes like this, people will find faults. So that's why he. Actually not he, this, Esha. Esha Sarvagya, Esha Antaryami, Esha Yonihi, Sarvasya Prabhavapayo, Hi Bhutanam. All the creation comes out of this. And all the creation goes back to this. When you come out in the morning, you create this world. And when you go to sleep, you absorb the whole world individually. Similarly, think of Ishvara. Ishvara means God who is in creating mood. So, similar it is. So let me read it finally. As the Akasha enclosed by the forest is identical with the Akasha space enclosed in the trees, by the trees, or as the Akasha reflected in the water is the same as the Akasha, that means space, reflected in the reservoir. Similarly, Ishvara means God and Prajna, that means individual, associated with these, that means aggregate and individual ignorance, are identical. So, consciousness is the same. We, individual, and even God, same consciousness. Just imagine. There are such Shruti passages. He is the Lord of all. He is the omniscient. He is the inner controller. Now replace he, this. This is the inner controller. This is the all-knowing. This is the source of all. This is the cause of the origin and the on the destruction of creatures. So everything comes out of this and goes back to this. So we'll stop here. Any question? Any question? Yeah, go ahead.
Swami,
Yeah.
The way we are talking here, this referring to Ishvara also being within this as ignorance itself, as part of that ignorance.
No.
Way.
Upahita Chaitanya, consciousness as reflected. This
reflected?
Reflected, Upahita Chaitanya. So here, etad upahita, that means the ignorance come in close. Like, it is like this. A magician comes and he says abracadabra, come confusion, confusion. And then you are confused. But he is not confused. So his consciousness come closer to that ignorance or confusion, but he is not confused, we are confused. So Upahita Chaitanya, in the case of Ishvara, is the same Upahita Chaitanya in the case of ourselves. Chaitanya is the same. For example, like water, either reflected or covered by space, and the space or the lake is covered by space. So both the space are the same. It's not different. Similarly, consciousness is the same. That is what being said. Upahita Chaitanya means consciousness come like closer to this, as it were. Upahita Chaitanya. Upahita means associated with individual drop of water, space associated with individual drop of water and a space associated with the whole lake is the same. Say in the case of God, only difference is this. Say like only difference. Don't people may find more. What I'm saying, that he's not under the ignorance. He comes closer to ignorance, like a poisonous snake. So it is not influenced, but whomsoever he creates or he influences, they come under the influence, right?
But this is not the Divine Mother aspect. Is Ishvara and the Divine Mother the
Divine
same?
Mother aspect.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
Kali.
Okay,
Kali
sorry.
means who is, say in Bengali and Hindi or in Sanskrit, who enjoys, that means Raman. Je Kalir Sange Raman kare, she Kali. So, say Sri Ramakrishna says, this is Sri Ramakrishna's words, when he is not creating, preserving and absorbing, we call him Brahman. When the same is creating, preserving and absorbing, we call her Kali, or the personal God. So personal God and individual God, what is the difference? Difference is that it does not come under the sway of ignorance. But individuals created by God, we come under the influence.
So this must be Maya, but Maya herself is not under ignorance,
No. Maya,
under the
ignorance,
spell
same
of
thing.
ignorance. Huh?
Say similar words. Maya, ignorance, avidya, and then some other words are also there.
Does it mean that she is not under her own spell of ignorance?
No.
Veiling. She is beyond that.
Beyond
She
that.
knows that she has the power, but she is not ignorance.
Correct. She possesses. Maya tatamidam. What is that? Maya, that I hold this Maya and create. The fourth chapter. Just a minute. Give me a. Now there, that shloka is not coming to me now, that I hold my Maya and create this whole world. Daivihesha gunamei mama maya duratteya mameva ye prapaddante mayametam tarantite. That's one another. There is another one. That I hold this Maya to create the whole world. Okay, so that means like I give the example of a magician. He has that skill and he uses that to influence others. Or say, suppose a director, he makes a movie and people come and see, I say like a Star Wars, and they see, oh, the fighting, or the maybe Schindler's List, lots of suffering, and they enjoy. So the individual self is influenced, but the creator or preserver or destroyer or absorber is not under the sway of it. Okay.
Thank you, Swami.
You said something? Consciousness is the same. No. Consciousness does not have desire. Your mind has desire. In presence of, like space, it's not creating. In space being created. So this is only outer expression. So now your mind, say you are a painter. Mind is creating a painting. Everything is in mind. And what happens, whatever you like, you'll paint like that. Color combination, etc. In presence of your consciousness, this happens. Like this light, in presence of light, things are happening. Can you switch off the light? Just all three. See, in presence of light, everything happens, but light is not involved. Yes. See, still some lights are there. In the night, you can see it. Everything happens in the presence of light. Light means consciousness. You are conscious. You are understanding also in presence of light here. But your intellect is understanding. Some association. Intellect relates with some association. So I gave example of this light. Now you understand. So you related in presence of that. In presence of consciousness, everything is happening. In and through consciousness, everything is happening. Even our intellect is working because of consciousness. But consciousness is not involved in it. Okay, we say our prayer. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate Om Shanti 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 Hari Om Tassat Sri Ramakrishna Arpanamastu. Jai Ma. Thank you.
Thank you, Maharaj.
Maharaj. Pranam.
Namaste, namaste.
Thank you, Swamiji.
Namaste.
Jai Ma.
Jai Ma, Swami.